Well, Mark Lackey comes in every week and talks about small caps, and Mark Lackey's with CHF Capital Markets, where he's Executive VP. But Mark, we normally talk about a commodity first and then some stock picks. But you want to do non-commodity related stock picks.
Yeah, Pat, I think just quickly, the reason we're doing that is that there's a lot of interest in the non-commodity area. It's been growing as a part of the venture. There's been some really successful companies. Even the few times we've done them recently on the network, we've seen some pretty good improvement in the stock valuations. And so I thought today we would look at 3 companies across 3 different sectors.
Okay, let's get to the first one. Pacific Safety Products. I think we've done this one before.
We have, Pat, and it's had a nice move from the last time we put this stock on TV. You know, they're in the armor, they're in the vest business. They basically sell vests to military and the police. The big factor here, Pat, is that this company is a big turnaround situation. Terry Vaudreuil came in. He ended up increasing gross margins. He cut costs. He increased revenues. He just had a big sale this past week of $7.5 million. And so, you know, we're seeing improvement, therefore, in earnings. We're seeing growth in the products. And the other advantage he's got is that his competitors being American, the Canadian dollar has fallen, 15% in the last 2 years. This has been a significant improvement for him because he basically doesn't have a whole lot of competition from the United States into Canada these days. And I think the other thing, Pat, we did a valuation report for Terry, and we came up with a fair value of 36 cents.
Oh, so more than double where
More than double where it is now. And it's a key factor, Pat, because as we talked about before, you and I, there's the one thing that's really hurt the venture, in my view, is the lack of analysts now. There's been so many analysts cut by the small firms. They've merged, they've disappeared. And so, you know, we try to fill that void here at the network, and also with my blog, and also the valuation reports we do at CHF, because we need to keep covering these small cap companies. They're great opportunities, and they employ Canadians.
Yeah, do they? Impera Technologies. I think another one we covered before, right?
That's right, Pat. We put that on about 2 months ago. It's a water remediation company, so they clean up water problems. A lot of people phoned up and said that's a great idea. It's interesting because they have, you know, 2 electrochemical processes among all their processes that are very good, and they're global. They've gone to Europe. They've gone to the Middle East. But I think the important point, Pat, was that I get people phoning me up saying, well, great technologies, Mark, but what's proven?
Yeah, well, because last time we talked, I think it was in the lab, right?
That's right, that's right. And that was a point you made, Pat. But what you saw this week, take a look at the press release that came out this week. You will see that Empire, with their production process, their electrochemical process, that went to a large mining company, and the company has been using this process. It was a 4-month test. And what came out of it, Pat, was they passed with flying colors. In other words, they met the regulations put forward by the federal government. We know that these regulations are out there for such effluents as ammonia and other issues that are in water. Mining, oil and gas, and municipalities have to clean these problems up. And so now you've got a company, Pat, that met the standards. And so I think that's really critical. When you take a look at the press release, you'll just see, interestingly enough, you'll look at some of the internal workings that they show and how clean the operation is. And I think that's very impressive. So to me, it's a turning point, Pat. In the past, when I've been involved in these kind of companies that have a technology like this is now the point where they generally start getting sales. So I think that that's the next step here to see the monetization of these products. Okay.
And Peak Positioning Technologies. Don't know this one.
Yeah, this is interesting, Pat, because Peak is in the process of buying a Chinese company, Longkey, which is they're in the e-commerce, and they're also in the mobile phone business. And so it's a software company. And people should take a look at how Alibaba's done if you want to look at software companies in China. And what people forget, Pat, half the population in China lives in the rural areas. So there's no shopping malls. In fact, there's very few retail stores at all. So now people don't have to drive miles and miles to buy their shoes or get their coat. They do it online. So there's a great opportunity here because Peak is basically taking over Longkey. And Longkey has a business, Pat, where they go to small and mid-sized retailers and say, look, for $180, we have a platform. You buy our platform, then all your data and all your sales and all your work is nicely put down, because a lot of these guys don't have IT. So they go in to see a banker, and the banker says, well, what's this? You got this scribbled here, you got that scribbled there. That doesn't help me. I've got an algorithm. You want a loan? You want credit? I've got to see it in a concise fashion in this day and age. So now Longkey has entered this market with their platform, and as I said, for $180 a year, the small guys now use this platform. It shows their sales. It shows shows what they're doing. It shows why they want a loan, how they have a business plan. And then the bankers are much more likely to say okay because they can now see physically how this is going to work. So it's kind of interesting, the whole e-commerce area in China. It's a great opportunity. And here's a small micro-cap Canadian company that seized on the opportunity.
And you brought it to our attention.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Great to be here.
Mark Lackey, CHF Capital Markets Executive VP. Quick break.